My name is Chaz, and I am a bookaholic. Hey, Book Dragons, I am so glad that you're here with me today. I was tagged by Kevin Toll Reads in the Bookaholics Anonymous Tag. And as far as I know, we don't actually know who created the tag. I don't think, unless I'm wrong. If you know who created the tag, let me know in the comments below so that I can give them credit. But in any case, I was tagged by Kevin. If you haven't checked out his channel, you really need to. And I'm just going to go ahead and get right to it. All right, so the first question on this tag is, what do you like about buying new books? Oh man, there are so many good things about buying books. I get to experience new books for the first time. I get to own books that are favorites of mine that I didn't yet own in my collection. Maybe it's a book that I purchased from an independent author, and I get to support them in their author journey. There are so many good things about buying books. And, keeping the industry alive is a good thing because, we don't want books and reading to just disappear. There's a lot of really good things about buying books. So there we go. Now, of course, you can still kind of do some of that stuff if you get books from the library. And if you're low on money, maybe the library is a good option. But yeah, I like to buy books too. And there's lots of good things about it. Prompt number 2, how often do you buy new books? Not super often. If I see a good deal on an ebook, I will usually grab it. So if it's like $1.99, $2.99, and it sounds good, or it's a book that I've been wanting to read for a while, I'll usually grab it. Because, that's a pretty good deal. So, but that's ebooks, right? If I happen to go to a bookstore, like an independent bookstore, and I want to support that bookstore, I'll usually buy a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. But I don't buy books too often. I did buy a lot last year because I have a perk with my company. It's a lifestyle spending account that allows me to buy books with it. So I did buy quite a few last year. But yeah, I don't buy books super often. So there we go. Prompt number 3, bookstore or online book shopping, which do you prefer? Kind of piggybacking on the last question, I buy mostly ebooks, but when I go to a physical bookstore, I'll usually look for a few books that I've been wanting to own physically and buy books that way. But my preference, I think, is to buy ebooks just because that is my preference for reading books. I much prefer to read ebooks. So online retailers, because of that, are the best places for me to find ebooks. If I go to a physical store, I'm not really going to find that unless they have like a little QR code or something that allows you to find a copy of that book and download it. That's cool, but I don't buy a lot of physical books. So I love going to bookstores, though. I love the ambiance, the atmosphere. I love being around other readers, and maybe I am talking to some random person in the bookstore that happens to be in the fantasy section, because I'm going to go to the fantasy section. And so that's a lot of fun. Most of the time, my preference is to buy ebooks, and thus buying books online. Now, I have bought books from Amazon directly, like physical books, but I try not to do that super often. If I'm going to buy a physical book, I would prefer to support my local bookstore, or at the very minimum, a nice chain like Barnes & Noble, but preference would be an independent bookstore, local bookstore in my area, if I'm going to go to a bookstore. Do you have a favorite bookshop? There are so many, guys. I've been to some really amazing bookstores. I've been to Powell's Books in Portland, Oregon. I've been to the Strand in New York City. There's lots of little bookstores here in my hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. So yeah, I'm always able to go to a physical bookstore if I want to. So we've got two big independent bookstores here in the Phoenix area, Bookman's and Changing Hands. And then, of course, there's Barnes & Nobles all over the place as well. There's also a smaller store called the Scribbled Hollow that I've been to here. So, yeah, I do love bookshops. And I think of those that I've mentioned, other than like out of town, like Powell's Books and such, the ones in my hometown, I think my favorite is probably Bookman's, because they tend to have a little more of a variety, although Changing Hands is really good too. But yeah, I kind of think I prefer Bookman's. That's probably my favorite one here in the Phoenix area, so I'll go with Bookman's. Do you pre-order books? I do, but only if it's a book that I know I am going to read the day it comes out or the day it arrives on my doorstep. If I know I'm not going to read it, I don't pre-order a book. So I think my most recent pre-order was, has to be 12 Months by Jim Butcher, the newest Dresden Files book, because I knew I was going to start it as soon as it came out. So that's my rule. I only pre-order books if I know I'm going to read it right away once I get it, and that's not very often. So I don't pre-order very often, but sometimes. All right, so that was prompt number 5. Prompt number 6 is, do you have a monthly book buying limit? No, I really don't. If I see a book that's a good price and I think it's worth buying, I'll buy it. And that's privilege. I mean, I realize that I have the ability to do that. Not everybody does. Not everybody is able to buy books on a whim, if they find a good deal or whatever. So book buying limits are a thing, and they're necessary sometimes. But in my circumstance, I don't really need to have a limit, and so I don't limit myself. And books are one of the few things that I really spend money on. I mean, I spend money on other things, but books bring me joy, and so I allow myself an indulgence in buying books. All right. And prompt number 7 kind of goes along with that. Book buying bans. Are they something for you? No, they're not. I don't ban myself from buying books. I don't look at a stack of books I bought and say, wow, Chaz, you're just buying way too many books lately. I don't do that. I look at the positive side of, I just bought a stack of books that I get to read either now or one of these days and experience that book for myself. So I never put a ban on myself. I just don't think that's for me. Other people do, and that's fine. I'm not saying that objectively it's bad. It's not. But for me personally, I don't feel like I need to ban myself from buying books. Prompt number 8. How big is your wish list? How long do you want this video to be? My wish list is very long. It's very long, and it keeps growing, guys. I've got a list because I went through and cataloged all my books, not only the ones that I own, but the ones that I want to own one day. That list combined is over 1,000 books. Yeah. So, my list is quite long, and it just keeps getting longer because I'm a member of BookTube, right? There will never be a shortage of books that I want to buy because of BookTube, and I think that's a good thing. It's because of all my wonderful friends on BookTube that keep telling me about all of these good books that I need to read, so I'll never have a shortage. In fact, I'll probably have an overage. I'm gonna die at the ripe old age of 110, or maybe not even then. See, I've got lofty goals, guys. And I'll still have books left to read. My kids will have to finish my TBR for me. So yes, I do have a lot of books on my wish list. Prompt number 9. Which 3 books from your wish list do you wish to own? And again, that's a tough one, but I did decide on 3 that I want to talk about. The first one is the Broken Binding edition of Shogun by James Clavell. That is the nicest edition of Shogun that I have seen, and that is one of my favorite books, guys. It was my best book of 2025. That was the first time I'd read it, was last year. And wow, that is shelf-worthy to me. That's one of those books that I want on my shelf because it is that good. And the artwork in the Broken Binding edition is beautiful. So, one of these days, maybe a kind soul will decide that they are going to get me a copy of the Broken Binding edition. It's probably hard to find, although maybe it's on the website for Broken Binding. I'm sure it probably is. I'm not a subscriber to Broken Binding, but I love that edition. So one of these days I'll find a way to get it. The other 2 are A Feast for Crows by George R. R. Martin, the original hardcover edition. I have all of them except for Feast for Crows, and I really want a copy of that. So it has to match, though. It has to match this set. So if you're thinking of getting me A Feast for Crows, I'm just, something fell there. I'm just letting you know. It has to be this particular set. Okay. All right. And then the last one on this is Deception Point by Dan Brown. That is the only Dan Brown book that I do not own physically. And again, it's, the Dan Brown hardcovers. That's what I'm looking for. So, those are just a small smattering of books that are on my wish list. But those are the ones that I think I would want to own right this very second. So there you go. And who do I tag? Okay, I'm going to tag Alyssa over at Hartwild's Library. And if you have not watched Alyssa's channel, you really need to, guys. You really, really are missing out. So please check out her channel. And I'm also going to tag Danielle over at Bookstore, my friend Danielle. And I will tag Josh over at Red Fury Books. I don't know if he's done this tag, but I'm going to tag Josh. And also Joanna over at Joanna Reads. I think that's a good list of people to have do this tag if they have not done it already. And and check out each one of their channels. They're all amazing. I love them to death. I hope you really enjoyed this. I've had a blast doing this tag. Thank you, Kevin, for tagging me. And let me know in the comments below some of your answers to this tag. Or if you're watching this and you want to do the tag yourself on your channel if you have one, feel free. Consider yourself tagged. And until next time, guys, make sure you read more books, and I'll talk to you soon.